said, well, I hadn't really wanted to go to the club in the first place, right? I did it because you wanted to go. So I want to hang out, with these people. It's only fair, for you to show the same courtesy, right?
That's not
But
what I said. I
Oh, oh. I'm
Okay.
so glad I'm a homebody.
Hey, what's poppin' YouTube? It's your boy KiteZz here. My lovely wife is just Alex.
What's up, peoples?
Hey, today we got the Eddie and Jourdan catch-up with Arlette Amuli. Hey, we got some more catch-ups that we need to do and get, situated, but we're gonna get to them. Also, don't forget, today is Tuesday, aka React Day. So, hey, we'll be live on Twitch later on this afternoon. So be there or be square. I'll put the date in the link below. All right, let's do it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to videos that you care about. It's free, by the way. Some of y'all be acting like liking videos is gonna kill y'all. It's free.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel.
Alex, we gotta go up. Me. There you go. Who the freak is? Oh, wait, I think I know who these people are.
Your host, Arlette, and we are joined here today by Eddie and Jourdan. Welcome. How are y'all feeling?
good. Thank
Good,
you.
good.
Thank you.
Good, good. It's good to have you guys back. We had you on episode 55 of Pop the Balloon or Find Love, where you guys ended up matching. Is it a yes for you for him?
Yes.
And is it a yes for you for her?
yes.
We got a match! I'll take the mic. All right, get your girl. Y'all can go on up. Make some noise, ladies.
So this is the episode where Brian returned. We reacted to this live on Twitch, but we didn't get a chance to actually react to it and put it on YouTube yet. So we will. But boy, that episode was crazy.
The time was had.
A time was had.
All right, so on that episode, Jourdan, there was a lot of buzz going on about you in the comments. They were like, man, this girl got questions for days. Is she really interested in the guy, or does she just want to talk? And then I guess there were a lot of comments like, oh, see, therapists are always trying to analyze people. Like, did you see those comments, and what did you think about them?
I did see the comments. But you want to know what, Arlette? I'm not clearing anything up for anybody.
Mm.
I feel like I represented myself well. I feel like I was authentically myself. And so if that rubbed you the wrong way or you didn't like it, you probably just don't like me. And I don't have to clear that up for anybody. At the end of the day is gonna end. It is what it is. So
Okay. Stand on
Okay,
it.
all right.
10 toes. 10 toes on
She has
that one.
hair sprinkles.
Oh, hey, the stuff you notice. But all right, she stood 10 toes on it. Can't be. I mean, you can be mad, I guess, but that's on her.
Jourdan. And then Eddie, for you, there were comments because at the last round, it was between Jourdan and the other young lady who was standing first. She had like a red dress. There were a lot of comments saying, oh, he should have went with the girl with the red dress and this, that, and the third. Were you able to see those comments, and did you kind of reflect back on it? Like, what did you think about that?
Yeah, no, I definitely saw the comments on that. In retrospect, I mean, I went with who I connected with the most. We only have like a small amount of time to get to know each other, but
Yeah.
Cool with what I did. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. So let's go ahead and just hop right on in to, the whole reason of why everyone comes in to join this catch up. So since you guys ended up matching, have you gone on a date?
we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Tell me all about it. Whoever wants to go first, who wants to
Okay.
jump in?
It's good
Eddie
news.
can go first.
Oh,
Yeah. So
and here we go.
It's never a good sign when the man goes first. When the woman insists that the man goes first.
Bro. When the chick goes, yeah, blah 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 can talk. It's boy, we about to hear some crap, man.
Yeah, she collecting data.
Hope y'all got some popcorn, man.
Cross reference what I'm about
we
to say.
matched and we spoke a little bit offset, and then we had went well. First, Jordan had a gift for you. So we went back to our hotel to pick that up, and then afterward, both of us were not from Arizona, so we were trying to figure out like what's a good place to eat, and then ultimately we landed on Fleming's, which was like 15 minutes away. So we went, had a good dinner, and then after that we had hung out a little bit after.
Okay, nice. Thank you for my gift, by the way, Jordan, for Mother's Day.
Yes,
Really
yes.
appreciated it.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Hey, shout out to all the
And
mamas
so,
and
how
the
was that
fathers.
first date for you, Jordan?
He kind of skimmed over a couple of things. Like one, like he said, we're both not from Phoenix, but he was really intentional about finding a nice place for us to go. I think he asked what type of food I like, and then we both kind of settled on steak. And then he
Okay,
was
good
really
job.
intentional about finding a good spot. So I appreciated that. And yeah, like you said, we went to dinner, and I had a great date actually. I think he was very intentional throughout the date. I think he did a lot of things to try to accommodate to me and get to know me and things like that. So I had a overall good first date with him.
Okay.
So
That's what we like to hear.
Is the love in the room with us?
Good job, man. Hold it down. Do your thing. Hopefully you didn't mess up nothing.
Okay, and you said you felt like he skimmed over a couple of things. What did he skim over?
well, I'm saying he didn't mention like how intentional he was about finding the place.
Okay.
He did the research to find the place, and like so because we both didn't really know, but he put in a lot of effort to finding a decent place for us to go
Good
to.
job.
So
Good. Okay, I'm glad that first date went well. So, how long were you guys in Arizona? Was it just that one night and then you went back the next day, or did you guys hang out again after that while you were here?
We both left that next day, so
Okay.
that's the Saturday when we recorded. The next day, both of us had a flight out.
I see. Okay. And where are you guys both located again? Just so I can have it for
I'm
reference.
in Texas. He's in Alabama.
Alabama.
Bama.
Okay. All right. So when you guys went back home,
Shout out
how
to
was
Texas,
the
too.
communication? Have you been keeping in touch with each other, talking, texting, FaceTime?
Eddie?
Well,
Ooh.
Eddie,
Have we
what
been
is
talking?
going on?
What's happening, Eddie?
What's going on, man? What happened?
we had our date, and then afterward we had a conversation on the phone the
Okay.
next day, and that's kind of where things ended. So yeah.
That fast?
Okay. Why are things ending if you guys said the first date was good?
In retrospect, it was a few things that had happened during the date, that ultimately I had made. Well, we had talked on the phone, but ultimately I had made the decision not to move forward. And I can definitely go in deep detail about it
Yes,
if
please
needed.
do.
But also,
It's needed.
Jordan had her take. So me and Jordan, we had a really good conversation. We
Hmm.
spoke for about 2 hours, after the date and everything, and recapped everything because I kind of had a different viewpoint on how some things went during the date, and then Jordan had her viewpoint too. But ultimately, some things had rubbed me the wrong way during the date.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, we talked about it, but then ultimately, I just had to go with, I guess, my initial like gut feeling.
Okay.
Okay. So was it a mutual agreement? And we'll kind of get into those details a little bit later. But was it a mutual agreement, or you kind of just you saw those red flags, or whatever it was that you saw, and you kind of pulled back?
Look at Jordan's face.
Um, so I wouldn't necessarily phrase it as like red flags, but I would
Okay.
say, kind of
Look at her
just compatibility
face.
wise, I saw some things that uh, I felt like may have been challenging had we continued to pursue it. And
Okay.
because it was a strong feeling for me, I decided, we had a conversation about it. And, I, being respectful of her time, I just knew how I felt. And I just wanted to be cognizant of those feelings. And, we had a conversation.
Was she rude to the waiter? Like,
Jordan, she about to unleash something because she
We-
keep looking to the side. Like,
yeah, we doing a lot of like. I feel like for it to be a thing that it ended that fast.
Yeah.
It got to be a valid thing. But my thing is, I don't know the way she's reacting. Maybe she don't feel like it was valid. I don't know, man.
Conversation about it, and ultimately, we stopped talking after that. So
Okay.
we hadn't talked since the Sunday.
Okay.
So she's asking you, was it a mutual decision?
Ooh,
No.
It wasn't. So it was more so like you
I disagree
decided.
with that.
Oh,
Okay, let's hear.
I told you. I told you.
so was it a mutual decision or not?
Hear from you, Jourdan. Then what happened?
Well, I think there was truth to what he said. There was things on the date that rubbed him the wrong way, as well as there were things that rubbed me the wrong way.
But you just said y'all had a good
And
date.
we spoke about those things on the phone, and I don't want to speak for Eddie. I don't mind speaking about them here. But I think it was a mutual decision for sure, because he spoke about the things that he didn't like. I spoke about the things that I didn't like, and we didn't really come to a resolution with those things.
So what were those things? Yeah.
Um, would you like to start, Eddie, or would you like
Oh
me
my
to?
gosh.
Oh, you can
Somebody
go
just
ahead.
say it, bro.
I'll start. Um, so I would say the first kind of mishap we had was, I think, and Eddie mentioned this to me, he was kind of offended that this was before we went into dinner.
Okay.
He was kind of, I had a bottle in my car and we were going to take a shot before going in to dinner, and I asked him not to put his lips on the bottle. I asked him to waterfall it, and that rubbed him the wrong way. And this is
why boy, what is that really? Don't put. I'm already not liking this ketchup, bro.
Was the bottle sealed?
I don't give a crap if the bottle was old, brand new. I don't care if the bottle was chiseled with mouthpieces. It's just, how is that an offensive thing? Don't put your lips on my bottle? I don't know you. I don't freaking know you. That's a perfectly logical thing to say. I don't know you. Excuse me. Like, what the freak we talking about, yo? I don't like alcohol at all, dog.
going in to dinner, and I asked him not to put his lips on the bottle. I asked him to waterfall it, and that rubbed him the wrong way. And this is what I mean by, I think it was mutual, right? That rubbed him the wrong way, rightfully so. That's how he feels. But I wouldn't have done that any differently. I just met this person on set 5 seconds ago. I'm not comfortable sharing a drink with that person. So I would say that was the first thing. Going into
You should have
dinner,
waterfalled it naturally.
Eddie kind of speak to that, and then I guess you
Amen.
can talk about the second thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think we talked about it, during the date, you mentioned how, that's just, how you are, you don't you really particular when it comes to like, I guess, drums and everything like that. So like when we had talked on Sunday, that wasn't really a thing that was like rubbed me the wrong way, I would say. I did ask about it, but that's kind of, it was kind of petty. It wasn't nothing to where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna talk to you because you wouldn't drink after me. So, but I did mention that.
Yo, what the freak are we talking about, yo?
If it didn't bother you, then why bring it up?
Why question it? Why is that even being questioned to begin with?
But hey man, I ain't gonna say nothing.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but when people are like in that nightlife type stuff, they don't care who they drink after. They all be drinking from the same bottle, drinking from the same glass, stuff like that. So it's just, I feel like she's not in the wrong for saying, hey, I prefer that you waterfall it.
Do y'all remember that video they used to put on it used to be on like Cartoon Network and all that? It was a whole commercial, and it was back when like herpes was starting to pop out more often, right? And it was a whole commercial, and it showed some teens, and they were all, one of them was like smoking, and he drank from a soda, and then he passed it on to another person who was kissing, and he drank the soda, and then he passed it on to another person, and he drank the soda, and then they all linked back to one of them had herpes, and they all just kept drinking off the same soda.
Yep.
And it was like, don't do this. This is how herpes spreads. And then they were like, how do I have herpes? I'm a virgin. But then they kept showing clips of them drinking off of the same thing. Like, bro, after that commercial, even before that, my mom taught me to never
drink off of anybody.
because backwash is a thing.
Ugh.
because you don't know if people brush their teeth or not, so they backwashing that.
Oh my God.
And then 2, you don't know where people's lips have been. That's why they also tell you, don't let people kiss your baby.
Ugh.
Don't let people kiss your baby on the face, because there's bacteria that they may have that can cause a reaction on the baby. The baby's immune system is weak. So it's like, why is that even a talking point? Don't put your lips on my drink. Just like, don't bite my pizza after I bit my pizza. I will rip you a piece off. Like, what are we talking about?
I'm getting my own slice.
Yeah, like, what the freak are we talking about, bro?
So I see where you're coming from. I would say for me, like, the first thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I would say, is like initially after we'd matched, we had talked to BM a little bit, after, coming off set. And he was just talking to us a little bit about, what to do next, giving us offering us some advice on, how
WBM?
to approach things. And then, during that conversation, you had mentioned, something about an event that some of the previous contestants was putting on in Atlanta, when he was kind of talking about more about like what we should do moving forward. That was just something that caught my attention. I was just trying to figure out like the relevance of that, I guess, given that we were talking more about like next steps with me and you talking. So
Okay. All right. No,
I need y'all to put comments below. Is anybody else confused right now at this point? I understand some of y'all done watched the whole thing. And I know a lot of y'all like, well, KiteZz, just listen. The whole point of me blind reacting is I'm supposed to give you guys my thoughts.
I get tired
Right
of y'all
then
saying
and
that.
yeah.
I get so tired.
I think it needs to be stressed. I think y'all need to learn the difference between a review and a reaction. Okay? A review is I watch the whole thing and then I give you my thoughts at the end. A reaction is I give you guys my initial thoughts right then and there. It doesn't mean my thoughts are supposed to be the same when I watch 30 seconds later. That's not how reaction works. I just wanted to stress y'all because some of y'all don't know the difference, okay? So right now, is anybody as confused as I am right now, reaction-wise? Because these don't sound, it sounds like we just saying anything to be anything upset. Like,
Yeah, I understand where he's coming from. Like, if we're having a conversation on how we're supposed to be, what our next steps to move this relationship forward, keep it on topic type thing. But it's like,
going to that event, y'all could have went together, and that could have been another bonding event too, though. You see how that could be flipped?
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, though,
Yeah.
100%.
personally, like that's the first thing that I would mention.
Okay.
And then I would say that the second thing would be, and I own up to this as well. Like I hadn't really communicated that I wanted to like more so get to know you one on one, and basically we had a moment where it was an option for us to kind of like go out with more like a group of people,
Mhm.
and I felt
Well,
like you
if
wanted
you're
to
gonna bring
do.
it up, tell the details.
Oh,
If you
I normally don't condone cutting people off.
I
still don't condone it, but let me Jordan, let him finish, Jordan.
But I wanted y'all to pay attention to the keynote he just said. I didn't communicate it. Okay? So if this is going to be a point that you brought up, but you willingly admit it, you didn't communicate it, you can't be mad that somebody's not on the same wavelength, even though they just met you either.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's a valid thing, but I'm saying you did say you didn't communicate it. So we have to keep that in the back of our mind. But it's probably valid.
if you're gonna bring it up, be transparent about it. Tell the details. Don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, I am being transparent, but so basically it was two other people that were on the show that ended up, I guess, connecting. Like I said,
Mhm.
I don't really know the details on, because we hadn't really talked to them, but basically we were considering doing like a double date,
Okay.
Okay.
and I hadn't really expressed to Jordan that that's not really what I wanted to do. But Jordan had. And what the way I looked at it, you seemed like you were more interested in doing that than a one-on-one. Is kind of how I interpreted it.
Okay.
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 I see here. And then so just to kind of touch on some points. So you said when BM was talking to you guys, you said she mentioned something about a trip that was coming up or something with like other contestants, and what did that say for you? Like it was like her intentions weren't right? Is that what you were getting from that, or?
Well, I mean, and this is, like I said, this is just my interpretation of it. I just was kind of confused, like why that was coming up now when we just matched and we were getting to know each other, and the I guess the subject that was at hand was like the next steps for what we should be doing and how we
Mhm.
should approach getting
Okay.
to know each other, and then that topic kind of came up. So initially, like, kind of you know just made me sit back a little bit and think about it.
Okay, did we factor that a lot of the people that were on that episode with you guys were returners? So it could have been the fact that they all had already known each other because they all do that stupid group chat thing, which I don't support.
Yeah.
But a lot of the returners were on that episode, male and female. So it could have been that since they all saw that it was all of them on there, that they probably wanted to do a get together, which still, that doesn't hurt his point. It doesn't hurt his point, but I'm saying that's probably why it came up. But still, you should be focused on your dates. So I'm not trying to take away from his point at all.
Yeah.
But that's probably where it came from, though.
Okay, Jourdan, we can hear from you if you want to touch on any
Yeah.
of those points he said. Yeah.
I could be wrong,
Absolutely.
yo.
So, we matched, and then after we matched, I actually asked if he wanted to go into the other room because I know when you're still filming, you have to be kind of quiet in that room. So, I actually initiated that one-on-one time between us. And as I was grabbing my stuff, another contestant, a woman, she said, "You guys should go on a double date with him." And before I ever agreed to it, I looked at him and I asked him and I said, "Would you like to do that?" He said yes. And so then
Okay. Okay.
All right.
So, okay. There we go. It's in the details. So, she gave you the option.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. She gave you the option. Okay. Because the way he phrased it, it sounded like she made the game plan before he even got to speak.
Respond to it. Yeah.
Okay. She gave you the option, allegedly. We're not saying she
at
really
him and
did.
I
He
asked
could
him
deny
and I
it.
said, "Would you like to do that?" He said yes. And so then we go in the separate room, and then BM comes up and talks to us, and he was telling us kind of about giving us advice and things like that. And then I was talking to BM. This was not a conversation that I was trying to tell you about. I wanted to make sure, and BM can attest to this, there's an event that is kind of associated with you all's name, and I wanted to make sure that that BM was aware of it. I wasn't talking about the trip. And then after that, you guys were done.
So, okay. So she was trying to let BM know that, hey, there's people about to use your name and likeness for an event. And I don't know if you know about this. And you interpreted it as, hey, she's trying to go to this event instead of going on some one-on-one time.
Right.
But that's also why it's important to have full context before you make an accusation like that.
Yeah.
Because she actually trying to help Arlette and BM and let them know, and you took it as, yeah, she trying to go to this event and all this. And it's like, come on. Okay. You probably should have got clarity before you said that.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, unless she does something really crazy in this video, right now it's starting to look like a lot of the things that you're claiming as like bad issues.
You could have got more clarity on if you just asked.
But it could change. You know, these catch-ups be hitting us with the 180. You feel me?
Filming, and I was going to get the young lady's number who we were supposed to do a double date with, which he then told me, actually, I don't really know if I want to go on the double date. And I said, okay, that's fine. We don't have to. And we didn't. So, which we talked about this on the phone. Again, like I said, why I feel it was mutual, we didn't really come to a resolution. I don't see how I wasn't valuing our one-on-one time. I initiated in the beginning by pulling us aside from where you guys were filming so that we can talk. We talked for maybe like 20 minutes before BM came up to us, and then we talked to BM for maybe 10 minutes, and then I talked to BM about this trip just to make sure he was aware of it. Um, and then as soon as he told me, you know what, I think I want to just do a date with us, there was no opposition from me whatsoever. I was okay. The only reason I agreed to the double date was because in front of the group, when I said, would you like to do that? He said yes. So I didn't mind going on a date with him. I'm a very direct person. If I wanted to go on the double date or I wasn't comfortable going on a date with him, just the two of us, I would have said that. But I was comfortable and I was willing to do so. And again, from my perspective, I don't think that I was valuing a double date over our one-on-one date. And also, as far as the event, that really wasn't even a conversation for you.
Well, we were all like sitting down, like we were all sitting down, and before you brought that up, the topic was, hey, you guys just matched, how y'all feeling, and then BM was like offering some advice on what we would do next, and then you brought that up. So that's why I said,
Well,
like,
yeah.
So Eddie, you would have preferred, since I know Jourdan, you're saying that was a conversation between you and BM. I think for Eddie, he felt like it came out of nowhere because at that time you guys were talking about your matching. So Eddie, for you, would you have preferred if she kind of pulled BM off to the side to discuss that? Is that kind of like what you're getting at?
um, yeah, I mean, for me, it was just, the meeting was about like, I guess previous contestants like meeting up to do a meet and greet and stuff. And like for me, I was just like, um, you know, what's the purpose of that? Like
There's a big
we trying
purpose
to
Bro,
like
in her
connect.
telling them that.
it's I don't understand how people are contestants on this show and they don't know anything about like the Pop the Balloon universe and what's constantly happening, right? Especially for y'all to be 50 episodes in. Her bringing that up to BM is a major thing because the Pop the Balloon universe has problems right now because there's a lot of contestants doing a lot of things that is putting a negative stigma on the Pop the Balloon with Arlette's universe,
They
right?
brief y'all before y'all come on the show, the do's and the don'ts. I'm
Right.
assuming so.
Plus, in the context of you don't know if she was going to be able to have that one-on-one conversation with him after or not.
Yeah.
So her saying it was probably tip of her mind. But like that whole thing of like, yeah, we were having a conversation together and that's why I thought this like was in there. Bro, it sounds to me like you've never been in like a group setting before because this is something that happens a lot in a group. You can have a group of 5 people talking about something, but then there will be a point where person A talks to person C about something that nobody else knows about while they're still in the group.
Yeah.
Everybody else knows like, yeah, okay, I can hear this information, but you have to have the ability to discern this has nothing to do with me or this has something to do with me. And you can chime in, and if they give you context, they can. But then there's a thing that if you don't need the context, people in group settings will say stuff like, oh, this is just something that happened to me and him. And then they can initiate whether they pull it to the side or not. But that's a normal group conversation.
Yeah.
It happens in group chats all the time. Hey, Ray, you trying to go to the party this weekend with me and Zach? Meanwhile, Zach's not in the group chat, and Tom, Bill, Steve, Jeff are all in that group chat and can read it.
Yeah.
And then somebody can ask a question there. It's normal group setting banner. Side conversations can happen.
Not really like, turn up, I guess, with everyone like other contestants. So like that just made me question like, okay, well, is this like a regular thing that happens, or is
He don't know
that's
he
kind of
don't
like
know
how
the
I
show.
took it.
Okay. All right. Jourdan, were there any other
Stop going
things
on
that
shows
came
y'all
up
don't know.
for you when you guys had this conversation that you want to bring up?
Sure. Do you want to go in chronological order? Because I think he has some other things he wants to say
Let's
before
go in chronological order, Jordan.
the thing that I found distasteful.
Yeah, you just go ahead and then we'll hop back on over to him if he wants to backtrack as well.
Okay. Um, correct. BM was talking to us, giving us advice specifically about spending alone time together, which is why I think when BM walked away is when Eddie told me, hey, I actually want to do the date by herself, which, like I said,
That's
I
fine.
didn't have any opposition to. I said, okay, that's fine. And I did get the girl's number, and I actually texted her and said that me and Eddie are actually going to go do this. And so, um, again, I don't really appreciate you kind of pushing a narrative that I was trying to party with people in Atlanta. To be clear, I'm from Atlanta, and I'm going to Atlanta that week for my sister's graduation. So I'm happy to be in the same city that I'm from at the same time that this event is going on. To be clear, I'm there for my sister's graduation and visiting my family, which I told you about. So I don't appreciate you pushing a narrative, because everything that I'm about to say is the truth, and it's not going to shine a light that's not authentic to who you are.
Ooh.
Um,
Ooh.
but to answer your question, Arlette, one of the things that really stood out to me, and I think also stood out to Eddie, this is one of the things that he brought up on the phone call as well. He wanted to go to a club after dinner, which I didn't mind. I'm not going to sit here and act like that was an issue for me. It wasn't, which I'm just bringing that up to say it's funny how he's now saying, well, I don't know, it seems like she wants to party. It was his idea to go to a club. In fact,
Ooh, that's a good counterpoint. That's a good counterpoint. But, because I'm not trying to hold him, you can, I think you can still have one-on-one time in the club.
Yeah.
I've never been.
To some extent. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to give him a point.
Talking.
I'm trying to give him a point.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to think it's dog pile Eddie. It's not that. I'm trying to give him a point. I think you can still have an intimate one-on-one in the club. Let me know if I'm wrong. Okay? Let me know if I'm wrong.
at dinner, I told him I was really, really tired. I had actually missed my flight to Phoenix, so I didn't get in until 3 a.m. the day we were filming. So I was really, really tired. I was falling asleep at dinner, and he actually insisted that I go out to the club with him, which again was not an issue for me at the time. I'm just emphasizing it now because he's trying to push a certain narrative on me. But when we got to the club, we were standing at the bar, and I'm like facing this way, and we're facing each other. So my back's kind of towards where we're at the corner of the bar. So my back's kind of towards, where people are walking the crowd. And a man bumps me hard enough to where I stumble a little bit. I'm wearing heels, but it's a club. People are intoxicated, the guy apologized, whatever, and walked away. After that, Eddie kind of comes behind me, and if I'm facing the bar this way, he's standing directly behind me with his arms on the bar, right? So he's basically hugging me from behind. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, do you actually mind standing next to me? I'm not really comfortable with you being that close.
Okay. I get what Eddie was trying to do, and I don't think she understood what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
So Eddie,
He was being a shield hero.
Yeah, I'm assuming, even though y'all say I'm not allowed to assume in my own reactions, I'm assuming he saw you get bumped, so he took the initiative to barrier you.
Yeah.
I don't think you understood that part. I think he was genuinely trying to barrier you because you're admitting that you're in a walkway, essentially. Yeah. So you're on the outside. So he's taking the inside, which is the gentleman thing to do. I feel like he probably should have said it, but I think he did it instinctively because if somebody bumps into Alex,
Sorry.
Doug?
I'm sorry.
Whatever angle she got bumped in from, now that I know she can get bumped into from that angle, I'm taking over that angle because bumping into me is going to be a lot different from bumping into her.
I'm still bump you. Don't touch me, bro. Freak you bumping me for it. Walk straight. Freak you bumping into me for it. Dang.
Close to me. And on the phone the next day, Eddie later said that he couldn't believe that. He, and I quote, he said, if in any other circumstance, if a girl ever did that, I would never talk to them again.
Oh,
He was super offended by the fact that I didn't want him that close to me. Or again, another thing he said on the phone, he wasn't sure if I liked him or not. But honestly, again, I just met this person. We were body to body.
Mhm.
Okay. I could feel him on me. I'll just say that. And it made me uncomfortable. And I
Oh. Okay. But I'm trying to help him. Like, because I think genuinely, no, real talk, people. I think genuinely he was trying to shield her from the walkway. I genuinely feel like that's what he was trying to do. Now, she could be his type and he could be infatuated her, and alcohol flowing, he's having a natural human reaction. I get that, but I don't think his intention was to be like sleazy or nothing.
Yeah.
I think he genuinely saw her get bumped and was like, "Hey, I got you." That's just what I'm thinking.
yeah, you can only hope and assume.
Yeah. I'm hoping that's what it was.
vocalized that, and not in a disrespectful way or anything like that. Again, in the moment, he didn't seem super offended. He was just like, "Oh, I just wanted to make sure nobody else would bump you. I'm sorry."
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
He stood next to me, but the next day, he said that that was a big deal for him, and he didn't understand why a woman who likes him or is attracted to him would feel that way, or do that, or set that boundary.
Okay.
Mm,
So yeah,
Can
go ahead,
I
Eddie. You could touch on
Go
that.
ahead, Eddie.
Yeah,
Talk your talk.
absolutely. So, like Jordan had said, I feel like some steps are being missed here.
oh,
Okay.
So I'm a pick back up, after we left the set. So we left the set, we were gonna get the gift for you and come back. And one thing that had came up was faith. So we were just talking about Jordan had mentioned on the show that she wanted a guy that can lead her in her faith. And I had mentioned on the show, I was very clear that I'm still on my walk. And although I'm not perfect, I am doing things to get closer to God.
Rightfully so.
Right.
And for Jordan, she had mentioned that, one of the things was, she needed someone to lead her. So I was, when that came up, like as we were heading back to the set, I was just kind of like, okay, well, if that was a deal breaker, why didn't you like pop when I was mentioning, hey, I'm not going to church every single day, I'm doing it online. If that was like the faith thing was like a deal breaker, why was I still considered? So,
because
You can still get, God can still put you in a place of leadership.
yeah,
So it's like the main thing is, are you on the right are you on the right path with her? You get what I'm saying? So she wanting somebody to be a leader spiritually, and then you not being at that point yet, that's not really necessarily a deal breaker, because there are plenty examples of people that they end up being equally yoked. One person just catches up, right? Which is perfectly fine. So as long as you guys are headed to the same destination, if you guys are both serious about y'all walk, and like you said, you're learning and you're getting there, there could be a point that somebody established can end up learning from somebody who started their journey after, because God's going to move you guys according to his will. It's not according to our will and our understanding. So that's not a disservice to you. You get what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of what people who are new to the faith don't understand, is like, narrow is the way. But the fact that you're on the narrow path to the way speaks volumes. Meaning that if I'm in front of you 5 steps, we're on the same path to to the goal. You can still catch up and even surpass me. You get what I'm saying? Because the Spirit of God's going to move either way. So I don't feel like that's a deal breaker, in the sense of, it's different if you were not on the path at all and she picked you. because then it's redundant. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Talk it up.
I was just gonna say I feel like people forget that grace is a big factor in a lot of decisions that people make.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of skipped some steps here on why I felt that way with me standing behind Jordan. And I'll just say in that context of me going behind her is because, like she said, we're by a door. It's a bunch of traffic, and guys walking through and bumping her. So I'm trying to create space between Jordan and like the traffic that's moving through the door. It wasn't like me, and that was the context of that. So I just want to make that clear. That's why I did it, and we talked about that on the phone too. But just how it was delivered, I just feel like that wasn't delivered properly. um
Yeah.
the reason that was one thing that I did bring up on our call, but also when we were at dinner, I had brought up, because you had matched before, and we had started talking about that at dinner, and I asked, okay, well, what are some things that you were initially attracted to from me, like physical, or when I first came out, what are some things that kind of captured your attention?
Okay.
Because at dinner I said, I already knew, like when I saw you, what I was attracted to. So I was just trying to get a better understanding of like what, what you were attracted to about me, right? So
Mm.
that's kind of like, so it's multiple things that is unfolding like during this whole date that's making me question, is Jordan really interested in me, or is it
Mm.
just a thing to where we're just matching for the sake of matching?
Okay.
And so it's multiple things that are happening, right? I also want to mention, one thing that happened as we were going to the club. I mean, I'm sorry, not the club. When we were going to the restaurant,
Mhm.
I'll talk about the valet situation, Jordan. So I had reserved, this is all last minute, we were trying to, get some food. I had reserved a certain time, and by the time we had reached the restaurant, we were about 5 minutes before like the cutoff for the reservation. So I came around the front, and I noticed there was a valet booth there, but I didn't see any valet person. And what I didn't mention to Jordan is like, hey, we may miss our reservation.
Mhm.
So I had parked, a little bit further down, and Jordan is in heels. And I, like, in the moment, I wasn't thinking about that being an issue. I was mainly just thinking about us like missing our potential like reservation. So as we're getting out the car, Jordan kind of like walks, ahead of me, doesn't wait on me to go in the restaurant, and that was something that I was, kind of confused about. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, well, this is something else that usually doesn't happen to me on a date with someone. If I'm going into a restaurant, like typically we walk in together. It's not like a thing where you kind of like walk off. And then when I had mentioned to Jordan, like, hey, like, can you slow down? She was just like, okay, well, I walk kind of slow, but she didn't really tell me in that moment. So it's kind of like, I had some.
Okay. 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 I get what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. So it caught him off guard because he's trying to do things in like an eloquent, proper way, right? He's trying to get the valet. He's trying to walk in like as a gentleman so he can open your door, so he can lead you and basically be a gentleman on the date. And there's no communication on how it's going because he's trying to do everything you're supposed to do as a gentleman. I'm supposed to open your door. I'm supposed to escort you. I'm supposed to I'm supposed to make sure everything's good, walk in front of you in case there's any danger that comes in front of you. Like, that's what he's trying to do. And I imagine because she's wearing those heels, her feet probably hurt. Y'all went up to her spot, got gifts, all that stuff. So she's already doing a lot of walking in these heels. But I do get what he's saying. And I understand heels hurt. I get it. But to him, it probably, because there was probably no communication, she probably just got out and started walking. And it's like, maybe it's one of those cases of like people have been single so long, or people haven't had like gentleman behavior demonstrated to them in a while, that they're not like in sync with how it's supposed to go. which is not a diss towards her. I don't want people to convey it that way. But maybe some dates she's had, the guy didn't do that. So she wasn't expecting that. You get what I'm saying? Am I making sense?
Yeah. Did he say that they were going to be late for their reservation?
Yeah, he said they were 5 minutes away from the cutoff. So you think she probably was trying to rush to...
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's what I said. There's probably some communication lapse there.
Well, I walk kind of slow, but she didn't really tell me in that moment. So it's kind of like, I had some times where I hadn't really expressed how I felt during the date too. So I'm not just saying it was like one way, but in that moment she didn't mention like, hey, well, my feet hurt, can you just valet? For me, that wouldn't have been an issue, but so that's one thing that happened too. So like as these things are like unfolding in the night, I'm thinking to myself like, is she actually interested in me or not? Right. So I just want to give a
Can I
little bit
say
more
something?
context with that.
I get what he's trying to say though. I get it. I get it. He's getting miscues. That's really what it is. Cause I feel like his intentions are pure, and maybe there's even some bit of naiveness in it, right? Where he's like, oh well, she walked off, so maybe she doesn't like me. Or she couldn't name the things that, why specific things while she picked. Like, I probably saw her for her brains. She probably said that I was just attractive. That maybe that's not enough. And like, they're both miscuing each other. That's really what it is. Am I on the?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it is. I could be wrong though, but I feel like they're both miscuing each other.
Hold on one second, Jourdan. So, Eddie, when you had asked her the questions about, what she found interested in you, or what she found interesting in you, if she was attracted to you, did she respond and give you?
Yes, she did. Absolutely.
Okay.
So Jordan explained to me that, like she doesn't go for the physical, like straight off the bat. She did mention that. She doesn't go for the physical, and she mainly goes for like,
yeah, she's funny.
I guess, the person's like personality, and if it's a match
Character.
there, character, and if it's a match there, and like for me, like, for me to want to get to know someone, there has to be some level of attraction there. So I was just trying to pick her brain a little bit to like figure out like, okay, like is there some level of attraction like physically there, like between us, like, and if so, like what were those things? And at dinner, like, she didn't really say, okay, yeah, I like your smile, or, I liked your hair, or how you were dressed. Like it wasn't really anything I was getting. And like my love languages, are physical touch and words of affirmation.
Okay.
So like when I wasn't really hearing anything from her, on that, it kind of made me like doubt, if there was really a connection on her end.
Okay.
So it was multiple things that were unfolding during the night. It wasn't just me standing behind her in the club. All of these things were happening that had me kind of like guessing, like, okay, like, is she really interested or not?
Okay.
And Jourdan, go ahead. You wanted to ask something.
Yeah. I didn't say that you were just standing behind me, groping me in the club. I said that somebody walked by and bumped me.
Okay. You did say you was literally feeling him, like he was feeling, like he was so on you, you felt him. And then you also did say that he was standing on you and it was making you uncomfortable. So like the way you did kind of word it, even though you did say that people bumped you and all that, the way you kind of word it, you kind of left out his intention of like why he did it.
Yeah.
So he had every right to try to clear that up.
Yeah.
Standing behind me, groping me in the club. I said that somebody walked by and bumped me. By the way, one person bumped me. Multiple people were not bumping me. And I also said that I didn't.
No. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was 1 or 7. The point is it happened and he took initiative. That's a plus to him. That's a positive to him. Why do I have to let you get bumped twice for me to take initiative and protect you? Come on now.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
And say it to you in a disrespectful way or anything like that, and you took it very in person, you took it very endearingly, and you did as I asked. I didn't paint it that way at all. But I think you're leaving out key details in what you're saying to paint a certain narrative about me. For example, I never told you that my feet hurt. I never ever said that. And in fact, I did tell you on the date the issue I had with the valet. The issue I had with the valet, and I remember what time our reservation was. It was at 8:30, and we got there well before 8:30. We were not running late for the reservation. In fact, we had enough time for you to circle the parking lot 10 times looking for a parking spot. So we were not running late. We passed valet, and if we were running late, would it not be quicker to get valet? My feet were not hurting. What I told you on the date, and I did express myself on the date, I said that I just don't think that it is a good way to court a woman on a first date that is dressed up wearing heels. Valet is an option and available, and you opt to park 100+ feet away from the restaurant after looking for a parking spot for, I don't know, I'm not, 10 minutes is an exaggeration, but let's say 5 to 7 minutes, right? I did express that to you on the date, and it wasn't because my feet hurt. I can walk in heels. My feet didn't hurt. For me, it was more of a gesture, right? Like I would have preferred that gesture, that court.
Okay. But then, does that mean that you can't properly court a woman in a restaurant that doesn't have valet? Because it's like, valet is there, but not
Valet
everybody
is a luxury option.
Thank you.
It's not a
that shouldn't be a factor into courtship.
Yeah, but I think Fleming's is like a luxury restaurant. So
Yeah,
I don't know, but yeah,
yeah.
valet is a
luxury.
It's a luxury option. Not everybody uses valet, or not every valet is not accessible to everyone.
Yeah, and like I said, there's what happens if we go to a restaurant and you're still dressed up like that? What happens if we go to a restaurant where there is no valet and parking is not available? Now, me in that situation, if I know my wife has heels on, what I will do is I will drive her to the front and let her get out and go inside, and then I will look for parking so she doesn't have to walk. That's what I do. But that's also because I was raised around a whole bunch of women, and that's what my mom taught me to do. But that doesn't mean that every man is supposed to do that and every man is going to think about it like that. Because some dudes, what they'll do is, I know some dudes when they have their girl with them, they have some extra shoes or whatever, like their own personal slides, and what they'll do is they'll let the girl take their slides and walk in the slides until they get to the destination. Then she can put the shoes on and he just carries his shoes. You get me? That's what some dudes will do, because we understand walking in heels long distance, 100%.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
But yeah, but to say like the valet thing, it's like I think people forget that valet is not. It's not a usual normalized thing. Valet is definitely like a luxury type of thing.
In my opinion,
too.
In my opinion, it is, because everywhere we go don't have valet.
Exactly.
You want to go somewhere, you're gonna have to get out that car and walk.
Plus, out here in Cali, our valets are some thugs, man. I don't want our valets be gangster.
I can't speak for him because I ain't never met him.
Pretty.
He got a face tag.
And I expressed that to you.
After
he got teardrops on his eyes.
You expressed it after we left the restaurant. You didn't say it like when I was parking.
I expressed it after we left the restaurant because we were passing valet again. I didn't want to express it in that moment because, one, you had just spent 5 to 7 minutes looking for a parking spot, and I just didn't feel like it was the right moment to nag you about, well, you should have valeted. So it wasn't about me not wanting to express my feelings. For me, it was being emotionally intelligent to know when is the right time to bring this up to you. And also, I didn't just leave you at the car. We walked, and then remember, my lights were on. It was my rental car. My lights were on, and you went back to check if the lights were cut off, or because none of us really knew. It was a rental car, you know what I mean? So we were walking together, and then you went back to check if the lights were off, and I kept walking. So I didn't just get out.
Okay, nah. Shorty, you supposed to wait. You're supposed to wait. You're supposed to wait. He is your protector. You are supposed to wait. If you send the man back to go make sure something is going, you are supposed to stand there and wait until he comes back.
Even if he went back on his own will,
you were supposed to wait.
You should have waited. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a miscue on you. You are still supposed to wait. That is proper etiquette.
Out the car and leave you or anything
Anything can
like that. We
happen.
walked
What do
together,
we
you
know
went
about
back to
proper
the car.
etiquette?
Apparently nothing.
And did I wait for
I know I
you when
don't.
you went back to the car? No, I walked to the front of the restaurant and I waited for you at the front of the restaurant. And again, like the theme I keep saying, that's not something I would have changed. Right. And he took offense to that, but that's not something that I would have changed. Also in the restaurant, he did, and this is something we spoke about on the phone, which is why I'm so surprised that you're leaving details out that are pertinent to what you're saying. He did not specifically ask me, what are you physically attracted to? He did not ask me that. And the reason I know that is because on the phone, he did express to me, he's like, you didn't name anything physical that you were attracted to. And I was like, well, if I knew that you wanted me to name physical things, if you had specified that or you had asked that, I would have told you that. And then when we were on the phone, I told him the physical things that I was attracted to. But in the restaurant, he specifically asked, he said, what were your first thoughts when I walked around that corner on the
Okay.
show?
Mhm.
What were you first thinking? That's a very ambiguous question. And to his point, I'm not a super physical person. I really look at someone's, and not just their character, but who they are as a man, how they carry themselves. And this was kind of my answer in the restaurant. Like, I really like how you carried yourself, how you spoke. You seemed like a really kind soul. I was saying things like that, which, in retrospect was not what he was looking for, right? He was looking for me to name physical things, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but
Mhm.
I didn't not name physical things because I'm not physically attracted to you. You didn't specifically ask me that. And when you asked what my attraction is, I was telling you what my initial attraction is.
Okay. All right. Was there anything else that had came up that kind of let you guys know that this is not going to be a match?
Please no. This just sounds like
Um,
mumbo jumbo.
It's
so for
miscommunication.
me, like, so in the club, there was a comment you had, where you had mentioned that some guys were asking for your number, and you had said, you hadn't given them the number because you were with me because we just met. You said you hadn't given them the number because you weren't interested in them. You do remember that?
What?
Yeah. Um, and again, when we spoke on the phone, my reason in telling you that we were standing at the bar and he went to the bathroom and the people that asked for my number were in the section behind us. And so when he came back to the bathroom, I was letting you know as a man, hey, the people behind us did come up to me and ask for my number. So that was out of a courtesy, which is like,
She was supposed to do that. She was supposed to do that. That's okay. I feel like Eddie got good intentions, but I don't know. Something's like making me feel like Eddie is kind of new to this too, though. And I'm not trying to hold him, but she was supposed to tell you that. Because now that's for you to keep out for the fact that, all right, yo, there's dudes in here shooting their shots. But out of respect, I let them know I'm with you. But I'm telling you so you know, just in case dudes that back there feel a type of way and they still come over and try to dirty Mac in front of you,
Yeah,
you're on your A game.
which people still do.
Because people still do it. People have done it to us and we're married. People have tried to dirty Mac in front of me to Alex, and we're married. Oh, girl, you so bad, blah, 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 blah. Oh, like, who you with? My husband. Word, what's up, gang? You feel me? People do it. So it's like,
Your crap is so corny.
it's corny, but it happens. She did what she was supposed to do. She was supposed to inform you. If she wouldn't have informed you, that would have been a red flag, bro.
Yeah. And it's not to say just because she wasn't interested in them, she would have gave them the number with you being there or not. She's just letting you know, like,
Yeah.
not interested at all.
Yeah, she letting you know, hey, I'm locked in on you. These dudes tried to shoot their shot, and I swatted the ball down. But I need you to know you got some contenders that are trying to shoot shots up in here. So protect your court. Like, that's what she's...
Because it'd look even crazier if he would have came out the bathroom and a couple minutes flew by, and they got the balls to like approach them both and did that in his face.
Because what if one of the dudes would have came up like, hey, so did you change your mind or what? With no context. That would have looked crazy.
Yep.
So she did what she was supposed to do there.
Indeed.
Y'all both just miscuing.
People behind us did come up to me and ask for my number. So that was out of a courtesy, which is like I told you on the phone why I told you that. I felt like you were owed the respect to know that when you left, these people 2 feet away from us came up and tried me or tried to get my number. That was out of a courtesy to you.
So for me, that's not how I kind of received that, because just how it was phrased. I guess the phrasing of it, what you said, I hadn't really received it like that. You were saying it wasn't because you were with me. We already went to dinner, we matched, all this kind of stuff, and you said like, because we just met, the reason you didn't give him the number wasn't because we were together on this date. It was because like there was no, for lack of better words, I think you had said, you didn't have you wouldn't have a connection with him, or you weren't attracted to him, or something along those lines. And
That still works in your favor, big dog. That still works in your favor. If anything, that's big upping you.
Okay, but in that context, I get what he's saying only because they had just came back from dinner and he asked, "What are things that you liked about me?" And him being a type of person that seeks after words of affirmation and physical touch, he didn't get the affirming words that he wanted to hear. So when they're at the club and he walks away and he comes back to the bathroom like, "Hey, there were some dudes that came up here trying to get my number, this and a third." He's not thinking of it in that way because he's already probably thinking about what happened on the dinner date. Okay. How she's probably not even attracted to him. Okay. Because he did say it made him doubt himself.
Okay. Yeah, but technically that was big ups to you. She's basically saying like, they not my type. Like they we wouldn't match on that level. They're not what I'm looking for. So that's big ups to you, because that means you are what she's looking for.
Yeah, he just didn't receive it that way because he was probably thinking about the dinner.
Yeah.
I just was like, for me, I wouldn't really, I wouldn't have said it that way. So, that part of it was, just kind of strange to me, like how it was phrased.
I mean, I didn't say it that way either.
How you say it,
What I said was,
do you remember how you said it?
I do. What I said was, when you came back from the bathroom, I said, "Hey, just so you know, the people in that section over there asked for my number." And you said, "Oh, well, did you give it to them?" I said, "No, but to be clear, we're not together, and so I did not give it to them because I feel like we're a couple. I didn't do it out of respect that we're on a date together." That's what I said.
Okay. That is true. Yeah. Y'all aren't a couple. Just because you match on the show don't automatically make you a couple. Y'all gotta fill each other out.
I'm trying to.
But I get what he's saying too.
I get what he's saying too.
Yeah, I get what he's saying.
That does sound.
Two things could be true at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, Jordan. I don't know, like that phrasing. I can see the phrasing, how that sounds. I can see how it sounds.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else for you, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess since he wants to air it all out,
hands is up.
Let's talk about it.
Hands up in the chat.
So we're in my rental car, and after the club, he asked me if he can sleep on my couch, and I tell him that I'm in a hotel. I don't have an extra couch, but I do have an extra bed. If you're okay sleeping on the other bed. And he says, "Yeah, that's fine." So we drive back to my hotel. And when we get to my hotel, I change my mind. I say, "Actually, I think you should just get an Uber to your hotel." And that was another thing that he brought up on the phone that he took offense to, that he didn't like. And that's something I will take accountability for. I did renege on my offer, and that's on me. However, I do feel like I have the right to do that. But I can see how thinking you're going in my head, if your intention is to sleep on the other bed, why would that be a talking point for you the next day onto why you had an issue with our date? Does that make sense?
I feel like it's more of like you kind of like depending on how late you guys got back, right? Not saying he should have been prepared for this regardless.
Yes.
But I think it's one of those things is like you gave him he asked you to see like are you concerned with my well-being of what happens to me at this point, which is very fair. And then you say yes, you can. Okay, and then you take it back as we get there. And it's kind of like you kind of hold me just now because it's like, why wait until we get here to say take it back? Let me know so I could have prepared before then, which I feel like kind of already should.
Tell that. Why he couldn't get dropped off? Like, why couldn't she have dropped him off?
Well, I'm guessing one, because they're drinking, and two, he took her to her place because it's her car. And I don't think he wanted to make her drop him off, and then drive herself back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't want to make her drop him off and then take herself home. He was trying to be respectful and get her to her destination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, what would be the difference between you sleeping in your Airbnb or you sleeping in the bed in my room? If that was your intention, right?
Can I
And yeah,
chime
he
in
brought
on
it up
that?
on the
Or
phone. He brought it up on the phone the next day, and said that rubbed him the wrong way. He did not like that. So
can I comment on that?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So for me, so we had left the club about like 2 o'clock.
Yep.
Also, what I would mention too, like as we were hanging out, there was a couple that had approached us, and we started talking about the show. Remember? And they had offered to go to another, place to hang out afterward, right? And at that moment, I had mentioned to you, Jordan, I had said, well, hey, I don't really want to go. I would much rather want to, hang out with you. And then, you had said, well, I hadn't really wanted to go to the club in the first place, right? I did it because you wanted to go. So I want to hang out, with these people. It's only fair, for you to show the same courtesy, right?
that's not
But
what I said.
Oh. Oh. I'm
Okay.
so glad I'm a homebody.
What did you say, Jordan?
for you to show the same courtesy, right?
That's not
But
what I said.
Oh.
I said that you can Uber home because I drove my car. I said I understand you don't want to go, but I did come to the club for you. I do want to go with the young lady and her boyfriend. If you don't want to go, you don't have to. That's what I said.
Jordan, what the freak? No, Jordan, you lost me on that one. You lost me because that's basically what he just said. You basically just told that man, I want to go hang out with them. I came here because you wanted to be here. Now I want to go hang out with them. You can at least do what I want to do since I did what you want to do. But if you don't want to do it, I'm finna hang out with these people. You can Uber your tail home. You lost me. You lost me. It's almost like I understand y'all are not a couple, but you're not operating as if you have experience being courted properly at all. He's supposed to be protecting you on the date. He needs to stick with you. I don't know if you've had experiences with dudes that don't give a crap about your well-being, but he's supposed to be with you. He's supposed to make sure you get to, he brought you here. He's supposed to make sure you get back. Oh my gosh.
It's the young lady and her boyfriend. If you don't want to go, you don't have to. That's what I said.
so for me, it's like this keeps coming out like throughout the date where it happened earlier, about going out with people, and then now this is like the end of the night, and then it's coming up again like going out with other people, and then there's a conversation, about you like instead of like us talking a little bit with BM about the next steps in like getting to know each other, a conversation is being brought up about an event that you're attending in Atlanta. It's like all of these things.
Also, I know I'm pausing again. Jourdan, this hurts your point from earlier in the video because you were making a point that you didn't want to go to the club because you were exhausted because you had a late flight and you were tired. But now we're here at 2 a.m. and he's trying to get you back to go back to your spot, and you're talking about you want to go to another venue with another couple. But you were
second win.
Yeah, but second win. Yeah, right. You caught a second win, but you were just trying to use the point of you being tired against him, and now we're hearing at 2 a.m. you not tired no more. So you want to go do more stuff. So then if that's the case of you got a second win, why did you try to bring up your tiredness at the start to hoe him?
Things are running through my head, and I said this on the phone like when we spoke. All of these things are running through my head, and it's why I'm having like doubts that, okay, there may not be a connection on your end. And also I would mention, after the valet situation, I made it a point, moving forward to make sure that we had the transportation to the club, like there and back, but as far as like the hotel situation, like truthfully, and this was late, but but the way I remember it is, I think you had mentioned, hey, it's late, if you wanted to sleep at my hotel, you can go
No,
on.
no, 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 no. You asked me if you could sleep on my couch. And that's what so you're entitled to feel how you feel, but it's been multiple times throughout this entire interview where you have misquoted me or said things that I didn't say that create a certain narrative. Let's tell the truth. You asked to sleep on my couch. And I remember that because I don't have a couch. You said, hey, can I sleep on your couch? You said couch because you're sleeping in an Airbnb and you have a couch. You said, hey, can I sleep on your couch? And that was after, by the way, we decided not to go out with that couple. So every time that you wanted to be just us two, I obliged, by the way.
Is there a reason you didn't want it to be
But you just said that you told him he could take when he didn't want to go out with the couple, you just told him to go take an Uber though. You just said that.
And they both came to the agreement that they weren't going to go out. So thus, they didn't go out.
just you two?
I didn't not want it to be just us two. The first double date was not my idea. Another woman suggested that, and I asked, did he want to do that? And he originally said yes. And then when he said no, we didn't do it. And then when the couple came up to us, they were really, really sweet. They're actually big fans of yours, Arlette. And she bought us a couple shots. I bought her and her boyfriend a couple shots, and she said, and the club we were at was closing, but she was like, the one across the street is still open if you guys want to come over here. And again, I asked him, and this time he did say no, and I didn't ask him to come or say that he should come. I said, well, I didn't want to come to the club in the first place, but if you don't want to come, I understand. You can feel free to Uber to your Airbnb.
So you told him to leave. He don't want to go to the club with, look. He wanted the one-on-one with you. Now, the club setting is trash. I understand that. But he specifically wanted to go with you. Then we get to a random couple. I don't give a crap if they're the biggest fans of anything. Y'all don't know these people.
That's what people that go out do, though. They bar hop, they club hop. You meet people at the bar, you meet people on the dance floor, and that's what they do. It's not an uncommon thing. It's
right.
Just, keep in consideration the person that you're with. That's all.
He like, what are we talking about?
And then ultimately, I decided not to go with them. And which is at which point he asked if he could sleep on my couch. And I did say yes in the moment, or I said yes to him sleeping in the other bed. I did say yes, but then when we got to my hotel in the parking lot, I was just like, you want to know what? I think you should just go home.
What changed, I guess, if we could ask, from when you said yes to then you guys getting there?
Truthfully, I think that um I think, and this is gonna sound like a cop out, but I think when I originally said yes, it was in conversation, and I was just like, oh well, yeah, if you want to sleep on the other bed, and then but then on the ride home, I was thinking about it, and in my head, which I take accountability for. I never should have agreed to it, so I won't say anything changed, or he certainly did not do anything in the ride home or anything. That was just on me. I thought about it, and I
Okay.
was like, I didn't mean that. Like, I did not mean to agree to that. So that's what
Yeah.
I mean
Okay.
when I say I take accountability for that. I agree to something that in the moment, I guess, that I just
Yeah.
shouldn't have.
That's fair.
It
And I
happens.
reneged on it. So
Okay. All
Um,
right. Yeah.
Also, I guess why I had brought it up in our conversation the following day is because the time of night we're talking about now is like 3:30 in the morning,
Mhm.
and at this point, we get back and like Jordan said, she has every right to, change a decision. Like there was no contention between us two when we had that conversation. I said that's 100% fine. I'm gonna go ahead and get the Uber. Is it cool if I just hang out here until the Uber arrives? She said, yeah, that's fine, and she waited. She didn't go upstairs. She kind of like waited, and
Okay.
then that was really kind of her. She waited until the Uber came. But for me, it was like, okay, we both kind of like really tired at this point, and it's just like, okay, now I'm having to drive, another 30 minutes.
you got an Uber.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Now,
You're missing the point. She's missing the point completely. She's missing the point completely. But Eddie, this hurts you though because you are a grown man. You got to be accountable for yourself, and you can't expect just because you're on a date with somebody for them to look out for you.
yeah.
As messed up as that is, that's just the reality of life. Is as men, we can't predict that somebody's gonna do right by us. We got to be prepared for it ourselves, and that's just how the world is. So,
That's just with people in general.
right.
You're an adult. You go out. You make sure you have an Uber for yourself by the time the club closes and all that other kind of stuff. If you can't drive and yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do understand. It's like, dang, you not. It comes off as like, dang, you not looking out for me though. Like you feel me? And I get it, but it's up to you to vouch for your own protection and your own situation because this is the first time y'all have met.
now I'm gonna be in an Uber for another 30 minutes to get home, so I'm not reaching home until like early in the morning. So you know, I'm saying like all of these things are happening, and the next day when we had, connected like on the phone and everything,
Mhm.
I thought, and I told you this on the phone, I thought that you weren't having fun of the date at all, and that you were telling me like, hey, can we talk a little bit for a minute? I thought you was gonna say, hey, well, this ain't working out. I'm not feeling the connection. That's kind of like what I went into that call with, and I had to express that to you, and kind of when you had mentioned like, hey, well, I'm actually calling because I wanted to see if you would be interested in coming to Atlanta like in 2 weeks or so, like when you were planning that event for one of your friends.
You
I was
brought
kind of
that up on set. You brought that up on set. You
what?
said you said you'll be in Atlanta in 2 weeks. That's a 2 hour drive from Alabama. You said that.
So I
No,
think he's saying on
no,
the
no, no,
phone
no,
call.
no. On the phone call when we were talking, remember you said you had a boxer friend that you were planning a party for, and you said that the party's for them, but if you were in
His birthday
Atlanta,
dinner. His birthday
okay,
dinner.
well, right, but you were saying that you would have invited me to that. The context of what I was trying to get at is I thought the phone conversation was going to be, hey, this ain't working out, because based on how the night went,
Mhm.
that's how I interpreted it. I was very surprised when you had said like, hey, no, I actually wanted to continue to get to know you. That was surprising to me based on how the night went.
So were you guys by the end of the night? Were you both already kind of feeling a
Oh,
disconnect?
Don't
be
all speak at
honest.
once.
The
I
questions,
would say
crickets.
yes. I think, and I correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie. I think for him, the disconnect was to the point where he didn't want to continue getting to know each other. For me, I did feel a disconnect, but I looked at it as one date,
Yeah.
and I was willing to get
Give
to
it
know
another
him more.
shot. Okay.
And Eddie,
Yeah,
what about
go.
for
You
yourself?
know.
Were you kind of already feeling that by the end of the night?
Um, so well, before I get into it, if it's okay, I don't remember you even mentioning that you felt the disconnect on the phone call that we had. You didn't mention at all that, on your end it was a disconnect. You actually told me that you felt, that this was, you were very surprised with me saying that I didn't want to pursue further because that's not how you interpreted the night. You said that you felt like you had a good night. So you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But
You are, Eddie. I said I was surprised that you felt like I wasn't attracted to you. I was surprised at that, yes. And the disconnect for me was the issue you had with, or you standing behind me in the way that you did. Um, that rubbed me the wrong way, as well as the valet thing rubbed me the wrong way. But again, for me, those weren't, like I said on the phone, those weren't deal breakers for me. I think those were things that um we could talk about, like you said, when I mentioned the valet thing to you, then when we went to the club, you valeted the car. And so for me, those things weren't deal breakers, but certainly there was things you did on the date that rubbed me the wrong way. But I think I had an overall good date. I think you were very intentional about planning it and finding a place like last minute, like you did. I think you were a
Can we talk about can can a date still be good even though you have minor mishaps throughout the date?
Yes.
Can you still want to go out with somebody even though the other person may not interpret it as a good date?
Yes.
Are you initially supposed to hit everything off on the first date?
No.
It's it's like I think people put too much pressure on the first date.
Like prime example, our first date when we went out, one point that had pissed Alex off to the point where it messed up her whole attitude for the date was
my
they messed
pizza.
up her food.
My pizza boy.
They messed up her food. She paid like $15 for. They gave her like 2 slices, but they gave her. You know how like they give you those leftover mini slices. Like everybody else got everybody else got their stuff was prepped, fresh, ready to go, and everybody paid less. Alex paid the most for her stuff, and her stuff came out trash. To the point where everybody that was there was like, nah, they did you filthy. To the point where Alex got so irritated, she was about to go complain. But I went while she was mid-stride to go off because she was pissed. I picked her up and I walked all the way back over to the section. I said, here, just take my stuff. I gave her my stuff. She ended up liking my stuff better than the pizza. So we left it at that.
It's just the principle. Don't play with my food. Bro.
Yeah, it was the principle of it, but I didn't want it to mess up the atmosphere. I stopped her from going to go complain. She had every right to complain. But I just gave her my stuff. I said, here, just you're hungry, you're heated. Like, I didn't know Alex like that to even be doing that. But I stopped her because I knew, like, I understand how it is, but we were having such a great time. Don't let this mess up your vibe. Here's my stuff. She ended up enjoying my stuff. She was cool. So she ate the pizza, got to enjoy what I got. And then we went back to having a good time.
And that was a group date too.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a group date. It was just like us on a date with a whole bunch of other friends. Like,
yeah.
It was chill.
But that, technically by that standard, she had every right to say that ruined her day. But still.
That ain't had nothing to do with you though. So that would be stupid.
So it's like, it's inconveniences happen.
Yeah.
Gentlemen in the club. I think your intentions were right. I think that they just were a little bit too intrusive for me. So I think I liked your intentionality, and so I was willing to get to know you more because of that. So
Okay. And
um,
so, yeah,
for
go ahead, Eddie.
sorry, to answer your question, Arlette, yeah, I mean, for me, at the end of the night, I figured, after everything had transpired, that was basically it. I felt like how
You're
the
about to
night
restart.
went, that there was not really anything else, because my whole thing is like on the first time meeting someone, like you putting your best foot forward, and we're having multiple things that's happening during the night that is making me second guess, like should I pursue this further. So by the time the end of the night, I was just like, okay, well, I think this is it. And that's
Mhm.
why I said, I was pretty surprised, like on the phone call, because I figured when we had, I had texted you, good morning, and then you were like, hey, do you have a second to, talk on the phone? I basically thought, that phone conversation was gonna be like, hey, I'm not really feeling that connection. I feel like this would be, it.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting to feel a super strong connection within one date.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds to me okay. So Eddie, on Eddie's part, I understand why he felt the way he felt, but I feel like once you got that phone call and you realized that it wasn't what you like, all the things that happened in the night, right, were circling through your brain, and you're getting to this climax that you're like, oh, this phone call she's about to have, she about to lay it on me. I'm not her type. It's not this. We didn't work. Oh, I'm ready for it. I'm anticipating that she's gonna do this, so I'm getting my defense up. So when she does it, I'm ready to go to war and be like, all right, let me tell you what I didn't like. You feel me? But as soon as that phone call came through and it wasn't that, that should have told you that a lot of what you were feeling probably was just your perspective. It wasn't what the situation really was.
Yeah.
And by that point, the conversation should have been, well, hey, if now that you got confirmation that it wasn't what you were feeling it was, and actually she wanted to give it another shot, that should have changed a lot of your game plan. But it sounds to me like you were anticipating her to drop a bombshell on you. And then when she didn't, and she was like, hey, you can come out here and come do this, you were still in the mindset of like, hey, like, all right, but still, I got it. I'm following through. I'm standing 10 toes on it.
Yeah.
That's what this sounds like.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah. It's just miscues.
So I was willing to get to know you more, despite certain mishaps, not because I thought that, this is going 100% great, but just to try. So
Okay. And so how did that call end? Like, how did you guys end up closing everything out?
amicably, I think, from my end.
Yeah,
So um
I would
I would
agree with
say
that.
Okay.
um
All right. Well, to kind of end this on better notes, let's talk about both of you all. Any projects you may be working on, or anything that you'd like to share with the people that we could support you in any way. Let's start with you, Eddie.
No projects. I do consulting, for anyone that may be interested in real estate or learning more about, how to invest. If that's something that you may be interested in, feel free to reach out.
Okay, cool.
Okay, nice. And what about you, Jourdan?
That her
yeah,
oil.
and I just want to say we talked a little bit about his consulting business on the day. He's very knowledgeable. If anybody wants to reach out, very personable. So I would highly recommend. But for me, I'm working on scaling my hair care business. I wanted to ask you, Arlette, did you get a chance to use the hair oil yet?
Have not used it yet, but once I do, I will let you know.
I'll be looking forward to your feedback.
I
Thank you.
definitely will let
TikTok
you
is
know.
flooded with her hair
Yes.
oil.
All right, guys. Well, it is unfortunate that it did not work out between the two of you guys, but I'm glad that you guys did get that time to talk about it, figure out what went wrong for the both of you or whatever it was that you guys just weren't able to see eye to eye on. But I do wish you both the best, when it comes to dating, your career, your businesses, whatever that may be. I honestly do wish you both the best. All right.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you.
Of course. And thank you guys at home for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Let's see what the Genius Concession.
I just want people to have fun, bro.
I feel like these ketchups are turning into kids telling on each other in the principal's office. The therapist needs a therapist.
That's crazy.
I just feel like
That's a stretch, but all right.
yeah, I just feel like truthfully, realistically, I feel like this whole thing came down to they both just weren't on the same page with stuff. They both just were on different pages.
I agree with Kiara.
What-
Story after story after story. All this happened in 24 hours. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
He said, she liked peanut butter and jelly. He said, and she said, no, that's not what I said. What I said specifically was that I like peanut butter on a slice of bread and jelly on its own slice of bread. And I put them two slices of bread together is what I said.
Yeah.
She's exactly who I thought she'd be on the first episode. You can always tell how this ketchup's going to go by the looks on their faces. Based on the way she presented herself on the show, I knew this match was dead on arrival. If you're exhausted from listening to both ramble, please raise your hand. She's the type that always has a problem with something no matter what. Jourdan does not come off like someone fun to be around. She sounds like HR. She was definitely not interested. She definitely wants people to read her mind and definitely cares about being right all the time. So Jourdan was drinking and driving in a rental, insane work by a therapist, not to mention that she had a whole bottle in the rental and not a Bible, as she portrayed herself to be a serious Christian in the show. Jourdan also wanted to jam a second location with strangers she met at the club, insane day's work for her. She interjects and says, you got an Uber. When he explaining he had to drive 30 minutes back, she just nitpicks everything. So exhausting. He carries himself well. I love that he remained calm and didn't allow her to fluster his articulation. So I just feel like ultimately, I feel like I said, I feel like they just both just miscued each other, realistically. Because some of the stuff he was saying, I get it. Some of the stuff she was saying, I get it. I feel like the problem is when you guys both are not on the same page and you guys both don't understand like the different ways of etiquette. Because I feel like he was trying to be a gentleman through the whole thing. And I feel like she probably just didn't identify some of the gentleman behavior. But I also feel like she was trying to do some things to like help him feel secure in it, but it wasn't registering with him. So at the end of the day, I don't feel like anybody did like, I don't know.
I just feel like if you have any like concerns, I feel like you should just address it.
Mm-hmm.
Just address it. You never know how the conversation is gonna go. At the end of the day, y'all not obligated to one another. So have the conversation. If you feel uncomfortable, say something.
Yeah. But I can understand why people are feeling like Jourdan was the problem. I can understand it. Yeah. So at the end of the day, one thing I can appreciate is they didn't drag each other though. That's one thing we got to give people props for. So, hey, let us know how y'all feel below. Peace.
Bye.